Chris's stupidity is legendary, as is his unlikely way with the ladies. He's been a famous artist, feuded with an evil monkey, and dated the hottest girl in high school. Achieving all of that while being Peter Griffin's son is a minor miracle to say the least. So without further ado, sit back and relax as this is the complete timeline of Chris Griffin.
Hey, he did it.
An incredibly big baby. When he was born, Chris was described by the local media of being an elephant child because of his ridiculous size. The stress in Lois trying to push out that massive baby must have been incredible.
After he was born, they had to rearrange most of my organs.
The Griffins are not exactly a well-off family. Peter doesn't make a lot of money, and the little he does make often gets spent on his insane hobbies. Not to mention, he must get sued on the daily from the sheer number of accidents he's caused around Quahog. It's a wonder they've been able to afford any kind of home at all. But as it turns out, the Griffins have Chris to thank when it comes to having their lovely family home. Well, indirectly, I guess. To put it simply, the kid was not planned. On the night he was conceived, Lois and Peter used a condom which broke, and out came Chris 9 months later. Peter and Lois subsequently sued the company that made the defective condom, putting the money towards their new home.
You're my favorite mistake.
And in typical dark Family Guy humour, it's revealed that Chris and his stillborn twin were named after Christmas. His childhood. Parents make up all kinds of stories for their kids. Some of them are part of an existing social convention like Santa, while others are unique to an individual family. This was certainly the case with Arthur Valentine and the Griffins. When Chris was very young, he came home crying because he didn't receive a Valentine's Day card, so Lois and Peter created Arthur Valentine.
To bring candy and sweet notes to children who've managed to not use any swears in the last year.
However, unlike most kids who outgrow Santa after a few years, Chris continued to believe in Arthur Valentine. So in order to end this childish fantasy once and for all, Peter faked Arthur's death, but this had the opposite effect, sending Chris into a catatonic state. So Peter dresses up as Arthur Valentine in order to fix him, but believing he's just seen a zombie, Chris almost impales Peter in the head with a screwdriver. But before he can do any real damage, his parents finally come clean about this ruse. Yeah, he was shocked that his family lied to him for so many years, but he did learn that it was his family who loved him all along. Happy Valentine's Day, Chris. Becoming a famous artist. Despite his seemingly low intelligence, Chris has proven to be capable in other areas of his life. Chris has shown an impressive aptitude towards the arts, as he is a talented artist.
Partly an expression of my teenage angst, but mostly it's a moo cow.
Early in the series, an art aficionado stumbled across Chris's paintings and essentially dubbed him the next big thing in the art world. So Chris moved to New York to become a famous artist. He became so popular, he ended up dating supermodel Kate Moss. But unfortunately, she was so thin, she kept blowing away and slipping through the cracks in the ground. But Chris soon realized that despite his wealth and success, he missed his parents. So he went back to Quahog and his ordinary life, all because Chris is a family guy at heart.
He said it! He said it!
He's also quite the musician, starting his own rock band and writing the song Evil Monkey, which is pretty catchy. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I listened to his rendition of Crazy for You for more than a few times. The evil monkey lurking in his closet. To be honest, Chris doesn't have a whole lot of enemies. Again, he's nice but dim-witted. But despite this, Chris has had a long-standing feud with a rather unexpected foe. For much of his life, an evil monkey lived in Chris's closet, and he would burst out forth from that same closet each night, point at Chris in a menacing fashion, and glare at the poor child. The worst part was that no one in his family believed that the evil monkey was real.
He's not real.
He is too real. I can prove it.
Eventually, Chris managed to capture the monkey, but it all turned out to be a big misunderstanding, and that the monkey was just too shy to start a conversation with him. The two bonded, and the monkey even helped mend the fence between Chris and his father, and his furry companion finally left him to move in to Jake Tucker's closet. His relationship with his parents. Without question, Chris is closest with Peter. As dangerous and unworthy a role model he might be, Chris genuinely idolizes his father and wants to be like him in any possible way.
And I want to be just like you when I grow up.
Again, it is impossible to stress how bad of a role model Peter is. No one should ever try to be even just a little bit like him. I mean, he did attempt to marry his son in order to claim Carter Pewterschmidt's inheritance. They ultimately didn't go through with it, but that's just the messed up lives of the Griffins for you. Speaking of messed up, Chris has a huge Oedipus complex. In that, he seems to have the hots for his mum. This has been shown a number of times over the years in strange things he says to her or how he behaves around her. At one point, Lois was homeschooling Chris and Meg, a massive challenge all on its own. Chris passed Meg a note saying he thought Mrs. Griffin was hot.
I think Mrs. Griffin's hot.
Go to your room.
And that was just the tip of the creepy iceberg. He even dated a girl named Lindsay who looked awfully like Lois, furthering his strange and incredibly unhealthy obsession with his own mother.
Are you kidding me?
And speaking of Chris's love life, the many loves of Chris Griffin. Despite how he presents himself, Chris has done incredibly well with the ladies over the years. The kid did manage to date Kate Moss after all. Chris even bagged Taylor Swift. Now that guy, he's got some talent. There was also Sam, the girl he met when the Griffins were exiled to the Deep South, and then there was Alyssa, the devout young Republican. While in a Peace Corps, Chris ended up married to a chief's daughter. Chris has been married a number of times throughout the show. When Peter becomes a crime boss, he's sent to Chris to Italy for his protection, and it's there where he falls in love with a lovely, hot-headed Italian named Tammy, and they quickly get married. But after saying I do, she steps inside a literal bomb car and explodes.
Tammy!
While other women have come and gone in his life, his most consistent infatuation was with Connie D'Amico. The most popular girl in school, she rarely gave Chris the time of day and was actually extremely mean to Meg, but then again, everyone is mean to Meg.
Shut up, Meg.
Connie asked Chris out as almost part of a Shakespearean experiment just to make him popular.
Oh my god, I can smell him from here.
And it worked, although Connie got some feelings too, and they became a real power couple. But Chris actually ended up dumping her, giving her a sweet taste of her own medicine. The thing with Chris is that he knows his own worth and doesn't let anyone mistreat him, no matter how much he likes them. One example of this is when he asks out Ellen, a girl with Down syndrome, but she turns out to be just as rude and demanding as the other girls in school. And so he calls her out on it.
I don't care how hot you are. I don't much like being treated this way.
Brotherly love. What the family does and doesn't know about Stewie has never been made completely clear. Peter, Lois, and Meg seem largely unaware of the fact that the little guy is an evil genius, and the only member of the family that does seem to know this is Brian, and apparently Chris. Somehow, Chris has been able to figure out that Stewie is incredibly brilliant. Who said that guy was dumb, eh? In all honesty, Chris might be the only member of the family outside of Brian that Stewie honestly likes. I mean, Stewie did take Chris back in time in his time machine just to help him with history class, and that's pretty sweet if you ask me. Stewie also helps Chris with relationship advice. He was the one who gave Chris the encouragement to ask out Ellen and was there to comfort him when they broke up.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Stewie.
His absurd relationship with Meg. If you thought Chris's relationship with his mother was unsettling, then you'd better buckle up those seatbelts, because whatever is going on between Meg and Chris is about to destroy your world. Meg is the oldest of the kids, with Chris coming in second. As such, they have a very normal sibling rivalry. Sometimes there are odds, while at other times they have each other's back. That all seems very normal, right? Well, what I'm about to reveal is very abnormal. It has been revealed that Chris and Meg practice kissing together with some frequency.
Hey, Chris, you want to practice kissing again?
They even once made out on Halloween, and even though they're both in their teens, they still take baths together.
Chris, our bath is ready.
They've even been busted kissing each other on more than one occasion. Whatever is going on with them, it's more than being a little off. It's downright disturbing. Fending off Herbert the Pervert. While the intentions of the evil monkey were never made clear, John Herbert's intentions towards Chris were absolutely crystal.
Get your fat ass back here.
The elderly perv was desperately in love with the husky kid down the block and worked extremely hard to ensnare the boy. His persistence was impressive, though his goal was horrifying to say the least.
Sweet Jesus.
Herbert's plans have both been subtle and overt at different times, all with the same goal of bedding Chris. Not to mention, there have been times where we have spotted Herbert in Chris's bedroom. Chris's future. In Stewie Griffin, The Untold Story, we flash forward to the future to reveal that Chris is a cop and is married to an overbearing woman named Vanessa. She has the mouth of a sailor and constantly puts our guy Chris down. For someone who has constantly stood up for himself when it comes to girls, it's disappointing to see him end up with someone as mean as Vanessa. And Stewie thinks the same, so when he goes back in time to the present day, he stops by at Chris's wedding and blows her up, saving his brother from a lifetime of misery. And so that completes the timeline of Chris Griffin. What's your favourite Chris moment, and which character should I look at next? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.